Now, anything can happen with these storms in the sense that sometimes there's rotation at the base of the cloud, several thousand feet up, doesn't make its way down to the ground. We don't wind up with an official tornado when that happens. It can make its way to the ground for a while. It can temporarily lift up. It can come back down. So it can do things like that. And that's why the warning has to stay in effect, and it's in effect until 7:45 p.m. until we can be sure that the storm is either weakened considerably or there is not as much rotation being shown on radar. Then the situation can change. But in the meantime, the tornado warning is in effect until 7:45 p.m. This is on northern portions of Worcester County. Now, Heather is here as well. JC is here. They may have a little more information to impart to you as we continue to focus on this through the threat of this warning.
Well, as we look at this storm moving through, and obviously a tornado warning, frightening to people around here because you don't see them very often.
We don't. And in this atmosphere, as Harvey was talking about, it shouldn't come as a great surprise. We've had all the heat and the moisture and all of that right conditions to get those tornado warnings.
They start clashing through like that.
Exactly.
These can fall apart at some point, but these look pretty strong right now, don't they, JC?
They do. And remember what Harvey said. This means that on radar, we have seen some rotation. So we don't have any what we call ground truth to it yet.
No one's sighted it.
No one is sighted. But by then, it's actually really too late. So let's not wait to see it. Now is the time, if you're in that area, to move to the lowest level of the building. If you were planning on going out, you don't at this point. Right. I don't care if your dinner's waiting at the local, you know, fast food shop or whatever. Or if you just want to get out and get a look,
it's not a good idea.
This is not the time to do it. You want to make sure that you're finding a place that is lowest level of the building. If you're outside, of course, you're probably not hearing us right now, but the general trend for anybody outdoors is to get as low as you can. And also watch out for flying debris. So as Harvey was saying, get away from the windows. This is not a time to go sightseeing to see the weather come through. And that tornado warning's up till 7:45. So that means we have another at least 25 minutes. And I'm sure that it will be extended as we continue to watch the progress of the storm.
I spent a number of years in Oklahoma, so I've seen a number of the prime tornado alleys. So I've seen a number of these storms come through. And if you're talking about a safe area, folks, a lot of times a bathtub is a good solid place.
Absolutely.
An interior closet, and leave the sound up on the television as loud as you can get it so you can hear us from that point, and we'll let you know when it's over.
So right now, if I lived in Fitchburg, and guys, if we can go back to that radar, because I think it's most important to see where it is right now, but if I live in Fitchburg, if I'm in Townsend, and even if I live in Harvard, I would say, be watching very closely to watch this track, because if you look at that yellow cone, the red line is basically, the center of that track, but that yellow cone means really any of that can variate. So I would be very careful with that area. And I know, Harvey, you have more information, so you're going to take it?
Yeah, I just want to let you know the tornado warning is going to stay in effect because radar is continuing to indicate rotation, which indicates a tornado if it is reaching the ground, if that rotation is reaching the ground. At 7:14, which was only about 10 minutes ago, the radar continued to indicate it. It was very close to Gardner at that time. It was 12 miles west of Fitchburg. It's moving southeast to 25 miles per hour. So that means Princeton, Leominster, all involved in this as well. And again, we want to keep letting you know that strong rotation has been detected with the storm. It's possible if that rotation has made its way down on the ground, then a tornado had been or still is occurring in the path of this storm as you see it. So that's the story. I mean, this is the way this goes. It's a very dangerous storm. It has very powerful winds with it. It has hail with it, vivid lightning, torrential downpours, and it is possibly tornadic. So once again, as we keep telling you, on the lowest level of your house as you can. I'm going to continue to monitor information. You can see some of the other towns that are being affected and potentially will be affected and the number of minutes until it gets to those towns. We'll continue to follow this. I think Heather and JC are still standing by, so if they are, we'll flip back to them and I'll continue to look at late information and we'll continue to update you as we go through this warning, which is in effect until 7:45 p.m. Here, once again, you see on our other computer, you see almost the continuous glow of lightning there. You see the hail markers, and you see the vertical nature of the storm. The taller the storm is, the more three-dimensional effect you see, the more violent and strong and damaging potentially the storm is. So it's certainly safe to say we're dealing with damaging winds, whether or not a tornado is on the ground, and we have to assume for safety's sake at least that a tornado is on the ground and has been moving southeastward from Gardner during these last 10 minutes. And the storm tracker, which is on our Doppler Live, which is Weather 2, continues to show you the path of the storm and the towns that would be impacted as it continues to move off to the south and to the east. So let me flip it back to Heather and JC for a few moments. And again, we'll continue to follow the developing story of this possible tornado that's occurring in northern Worcester County. Heather and JC?
And we have a shot right now from Worcester, a live picture. I don't know how much is showing, but let's take a look as you look at it with us. It's just coming up on 7:30 here, and obviously still light enough for us to see. That doesn't look too menacing, JC.
It doesn't, and that's how isolated and small these can be. So Worcester is looking like, well, it's overcast, and, you know, we're getting towards sunset here. But just go to the north, and you're in Ashburnham, and you have torrential downpours. You're probably getting pelted with hail at this point. Straight line winds also a concern, but of course, if it's a tornado, we're talking about rotation here. 9 minutes, it should be in Fitchburg. 9 minutes. If you are in Fitchburg, now is the time to crank the volume on the TV and head to the basement.
JC, the colors are an indicator of the power of this storm. Is it the darkest magentas that we're most concerned about?
Bright center colors you see there. See just below the B in Ashburnham, we have this bright pink, and what the radar is doing, it's taking the reflectivity of what they see. The intensity of it registers in those brighter colors. So where you see that light green on the outer edge, sure, they're seeing some showers, but you get into that center, and we're also looking at the colors and the shape that they're now taking. If we can get what we call a hook, you get a hook echo on radar, and that is a good indication that you're getting some rotation in this area. So that is why this is of great concern. If you look at that little hook that's happening just to the south of Ashburnham, that's where potentially we could be seeing a tornado in there. And look at the magenta that's heading over towards Fitchburg. So this is actually elongating as it's traveling, and it's becoming more intense in the last 2-3 minutes. Based on this radar image, this has become more intense. So this isn't weakening. So Fitchburg, and I would say even Shirley, you're 27 minutes away. Now is the time. Get stuff indoors, shut the windows, whatever, and get as close as you can. There we go, getting it a little bit closer.
Well, good idea to get a flashlight too in case the power goes out. Anytime you're dealing with little kids in the house and things, you want to make sure that maybe grab a book as you're heading into a closet.
Pets would be a good idea as well. I'm sure they're going crazy as this is passing. It's just to the south of Townsend. Matter of fact, I'm going to get over to radar and just get in a little bit closer so that folks in this area can really see where we're talking about. I know we have a bit closer to the area. So, Harvey, do you want to take it from here?
Yeah. On it as you're manipulating the radar, JC. Yep. As of 7:26, which is literally a couple of moments ago, a severe thunderstorm warning has been indicated now for north central Worcester County. That includes Leominster, Fitchburg, and so on. Now, it's not clear to me if they're talking about two different cells, because there are different cells here. So the tornado warning has not been taken down to my knowledge. So we still have to assume that there's rotation and possibly a tornado on the ground. But I got to tell you, with this particular cell, this is what we're talking about. It's capable of producing golf ball size hail. We know there's hail. We see the markers right there, but it could actually be as large as golf ball size. And here you see the rotation. See that? This is actually showing up now that we're seeing the rotation. So this is showing up, and therefore we know that there's rotation at the base of the clouds. If that works its way down as a funnel to the ground, then a tornado would be on the ground, and that may have been the case in Gardner, and it continues to move off to the southeast. But again, it was located 8 miles west of Fitchburg at 7:26 and moving southeast at 30. So Westminster, Lunenburg, Shirley, Groton, all in line for either a very severe thunderstorm or a possible tornado. Damaging winds, hail, torrential downpours, vivid lightning. You see almost the constant glow in these cells, the white that's showing up here, and you see the hail markers as well. So we're dealing with very severe weather in this area as it continues to move off to the southeast with time.
Hey, Harvey?
Yes.
I wanted to ask you about this. How quickly are these storms moving? In other words, when you're under the A of Ashburnham on this radar, when can you expect it to move out?
Yeah, well, we're basically talking about 25 miles per hour, and really the core of this, what's so dangerous with tornadoes is that the real super damage could all be in seconds or a minute or two. But we're also talking about very severe thunderstorms. Typically, they can last 15, 20 minutes as well. So here you can see as it bears down on Fitchburg, we're putting in some of the roads here for you. And again, this is really where you see the curvature right in here. We call this kind of a hook echo right in here, because you see how it, let me get on this side, I think you can see better. You see how it kind of hooks around right in there? So if there's a tornado, it is somewhere right around in here. But again, this entire area is affected with very, very torrential downpours, hail that's probably large, damaging winds, the vivid lightning, And again, it all continues to move off this way. Actually, JC, if this is